Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Legends of Tomorrow podcast. And we are on today, the YouTube channel for the Legends of Tomorrow podcast. And hopefully hopefully we will have this converted very soon for you. And if you're watching through the podcast, you're already listening. So that's pretty cool. So today we are one person short. Tony could not make it because he is doing all that Comic-Con prep. I will be prepping very soon with Comic-Con, but he has a lot of stuff going on with Comic-Con. So he'll be back with us next week. And we might have a special episode coming for Comic-Con, so stay tuned for that. But we do have Greg today. How's it going? And what are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about Black Canary, and it's going very well because at the time of recording this, Arkham Knight is about 8 hours away.
That is pretty big. I wish I played more video games, and I would be playing Arkham Knight.
I'm very tempted to go to the midnight release and just play it for way too many hours.
I think you should. I mean, you deserve it. Go. I'm telling you should go.
Fair enough. But yeah, did I say we're talking about Black Canary? Arkham Knight on the mind, sorry.
Yeah, Arkham Knight's always on the mind. And I guess Black Canary's kind of related to the Bat family, kind of, but really is the Green Arrow family more. But she's still, she's part of the Birds of Prey, but which you could say is Bat family, in vein of the Bat family. But yeah, we are talking about Black Canary and the White Canary, because of course the White Canary is actually going to be in Legends of Tomorrow. So first, we're going to talk about the actual Arrow stuff that we've seen. So we're going to talk about both Laurel and Sara, even though Sara is going to probably be the only one in Legends of Tomorrow. We are going to talk about both characters because they both are Canary. So let's actually start with, I guess, Sara. Let's start with Sara. She was more introduced in season 2 of Arrow and became kind of a main character then. And then season 3, she died. And now in Legends of Tomorrow, we're going to see her risen from the Lazarus pit. So, Greg, what has been your thoughts about Sara? Has she been a favorite character for you? What was your thoughts when she died and everything?
Definitely shock. Shock was my expression. Shock and a little bit of anger when she died. Because they built up this character, and then right when season 3 kicks off, she's murdered.
Yeah.
So, and it happens in such an abrupt way. Usually in shows, you can see these deaths coming, and there's hints here and there. But with Sara, she just says hi to someone on a rooftop, and then, oh hey, mysterious archer shoots her 3 times, and she falls to her death. It was pretty difficult to believe at the time, and it was definitely a memorable way to start off the season, surrounding that mystery of who killed Sara. And it kind of sucks that most of season 3 half of season 3, I guess, revolved around just who killed Sara instead of seeing what else they could do with the character. But now, obviously, she's coming back, so I'm really curious to see what they're going to do with her. Was she one of my favorites? Yeah, the character definitely grew on me. I mean, there wasn't much at first. She was Laurel's sister, cheated on. She Oliver behind Laurel's back, so that made both of them a little unlikable. Kind of a harsh move. But yeah, it was cool to see how much she changed and how the League of Assassins molded her into this new person who's lethal and badass, but still has a good core and still uses those skills in the best way she believes she can. She's not running around just killing everyone, but she will kill someone if she feels it's the necessary thing to do. And I'm not sure if she's going to still have that mentality in Legends of Tomorrow. And forgive my memory, I don't remember if they had like a moral arc with her in season 2, because I know the whole kill or to kill or not to kill was addressed a lot in season 2 of Arrow, but I haven't watched it since it aired. But I know obviously that's when Oliver had his epiphany that he, if he really wants to inspire, he needs to stop putting arrows in everyone's hearts, literally, not figuratively.
Yeah, I think Sara kind of did. Like, it was like insinuated, but not as much as Oliver. Because Oliver, had it a lot. But yeah, Sara is a really cool character. I don't know if she was try time, but she was definitely badass. and I enjoyed that about her. She's a strong female character, which I think Arrow has a lot of. I think their female cast is really good, and that's something that makes me really enjoy the show as a female viewer. But, you know, I think Sara had a really cool arc in season 2. You know, her growth as a character, telling her father what she's been up to. Also, her relationship with Laurel, and, you know, how they had to build that up with each other. But yeah, overall, I was very shocked that she died. But at the same time, I think we all knew it was coming because Laurel had to become Black Canary in some way, and everyone was guessing, oh, Sarah's going to die, and then she'll become Black Canary. So, yeah, I wasn't surprised. I think I was more surprised to hear she was coming back in Legends of Tomorrow. And I'm still very excited for that because I think she's a character that deserves more story and not to just be in Laurel's shadow, and vice versa. I don't believe Laurel should be in Sarah's shadow. So overall, excited to see her back in Legends. So let's talk about Laurel a little bit. She's also the other Canary in this equation. So what are your thoughts on Laurel?
Laurel had a really, really rough beginning. They really put her through the ringer. She, you know, had one negative aspect after another. You know, she suffered from addiction and tragedy, and that obviously took a big toll on her personality. And for some people, that made them really, you know, want to see her improve and get better, and they really wanted to see a strong redemption arc. For a lot of people, it seems, including myself, it was a lot. It was a lot of negativity and deflecting and anger, and it seemed to be making situations worse and worse through her choices. And so she was definitely a frustrating character, I would say, at least at first. But then season 3, it was a huge surprise. The biggest tragedy to face her a second time, the second time her sister has died, she came out of it stronger than ever before. It eventually molded her into a stronger person. And I do like how they handled her rise to becoming, you know, a crime fighter. She's not the best fighter around. And sure, sometimes it's inconsistent. Like, she'll take on multiple people from the League of Assassins, or she'll, you know, have trouble with one criminal. It's a little inconsistent, but the point is she's nowhere near what Roy or what Oliver or Nyssa or Malcolm, she's nowhere near their level yet. She's doing her best, and she's doing what she can to help, because you can only do so much in the courtroom, especially when you're dealing with crazy villains like that. They have loopholes and everything, and they have ways of dodging the system. So for her, season 1 and 2, she was one of the more frustrating characters. But season 3, I really like how they handled her redemption arc, and she became a character I wanted to cheer for, and I loved her interactions with Cisco in the crossover episode.
Yeah, that's one of our best episodes, and it's not even in her own series.
For sure. It was just so great seeing both of them just so lighthearted, and Cisco is such a fan of what she's doing. And it's kind of like how any of us would act if we met someone, hopefully a little less awkward, but not a real hero. You know?
Let's hope.
Yeah, hopefully. But it was cool. I mean, her costume was a little odd. It's almost like what the 90s did with pouches, but in this case with buckles.
A lot of buckles.
Yeah, and it would be cool to see her use the Canary Cry more frequently, because she lacks the technical skill that Sara possesses. I feel like that could really help balance the scales. So now that she has that, I would love to see her use that more. But yeah, first 2 seasons, I found it very tough to get emotionally connected to the character, because her downward spiral just went on and on and on and on and on.
Too long and prolonged.
It was very rough. And I'm sure some people think, you know, that's realistic. Some people, they go through rough times and it doesn't get better for a very long time. And I understand that. That's terrible. But in this case, it's, you know, it's also a show that's aiming to entertain, and I just kept waiting for a reason to, you know, really want to root for her. And thankfully, season 3 really delivered on that.
Yeah, you know, I totally agree with you with Laurel's character. She's always a character I've been rooting for, because, again, I was excited to see Black Canary on this show, and we all knew Laurel would become Black Canary because of all the signs. And she had a lot of potential as a character, but it just took her a very long time to get to the point that she did in season 3. But once she did get to that point, she became a really cool character, and probably one of the best characters for season 3, which we talked about on last episode, or episode 0. So I'm very happy at the point Laurel is. But again, she's not the Nyssa character character. She's not Sara, where she just became an assassin overnight. She's a hero that you get to see her build to become a hero, and that's really exciting. And like I said last episode also, what I love about Laurel's character is that she's the hero that smiles. She's the one who wants to be there. Everyone else is just trying to redeem sins. I feel like Laurel's already redeemed her demons, the demons in the bottle, really, and she did so in season 2. That's why we saw her struggle, and now we're seeing the Black Canary we always wanted to see. And yeah, that was a part of Sara. She wanted to be like Sara, but then she found herself. And I think they balanced that very well. Again, it took them a while. They took some trips over there. They tripped over a lot with her character, but now I'm really excited to see her in season 4. Now my question is, do you think Sara's going to be in season 4 Arrow before she's in Legends of Tomorrow? Do you think we'll see Laurel and Sara interact again? Do you think Laurel will know that Sara's alive? I hope so.
That's tough. Season 4 of Arrow, that'll begin before Legends of Tomorrow, right?
Yes, it will.
This year, Legends of Tomorrow, presumably early 2016, I believe.
Yeah, my guess is like March, because I remember iZombie was around March, so that's my guess.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if now that Malcolm and Nyssa are, higher up in the League of Assassins, if as a kind act almost towards Oliver and Nyssa and everyone, if they use the Lazarus Pit to resurrect Sara, because the whole reason Sara's dead is because of Malcolm's actions, and now he has the power to say, you know what, my bad, let me fix that for you. It's a horrible way of expressing it, but I could see Malcolm wanting to keep a truce with Oliver, and him almost viewing this as doing it like a favor, to Oliver, and like saying he owes him one now or something.
That's very Malcolm-like, too. It's like, yeah, you owe me one now. I know I killed her, but whatever.
Maybe he can even buy Nyssa's loyalty like that, because he surely knows that Nyssa is gunning for him, or knifing for him, or arrowing for him, however you want to phrase it. They don't use guns over there. But,
they don't. Only Dig.
Yeah. She hires Diggle. He just runs it and shit. But,
I see it.
Yeah, but I could see Malcolm using that as a way of manipulating Nyssa and gaining her alliance, saying, I know you love her, let me bring her back for you. It's the least I can do. And I
see in a good way, though. I don't see it in a good way. I see it's like Malcolm's definitely manipulating her by doing it, but like sounding good because he's doing it. I don't know. He's definitely has tricks up his sleeves. He's the magician.
Yeah, I don't see Nyssa falling for that. I think she would be grateful, but I don't see her like suddenly turning a blind eye to everything Malcolm does and thinking they're BFFs now because of that. Or Nyssa just goes behind his back and resurrects Sara herself. But I could definitely see season 4 reintroducing Sara and Legends of Tomorrow. That way they don't have to do all that legwork, because they have a limited amount of time and a whole lot of characters. So this way they can kind of like just quickly recap, like, oh, bam, she's back, Lazarus Pit, yay. Because that trailer did show scenes from other shows. They briefly showed Reverse Flash in that, I don't recall what it was called. It was the time machine, the sphere. It briefly showed it in that, and that was from the Flash season finale. So I'm wondering if, although Arrow hasn't even started shooting, how would that work? I'm getting ahead of myself here, aren't I?
I honestly don't even know how they shot Legends of Tomorrow, because I have a feeling they haven't shot in the pilot. I think those scenes we saw were like random scenes. So you might not be ahead of yourself. I don't know. I'm like really confused of like how the production works for Legends of Tomorrow right now. Because like, did they have time to shoot the pilot? Didn't they? And also, how does that fit with Arrow and Flash? Like, I don't know how that's working. Like, I'm actually very confused by that.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But I mean, it is a character who's important to the mythos going on in Arrow. So I can see them doing all the footwork and all the, the emotional weight behind her resurrection, and having her interacting with the characters she needs to interact with. How does she feel about what happened with Thea? I imagine she can overlook it, seeing as Malcolm was the one manipulating her. But they need to have that sense of closure where Sara can talk with her, and she could talk with Laurel. So, I mean, Laurel's obviously changed just a little bit since Sara has died. And yeah. I'm thinking Sara will be supportive. I think Sara will view it as it's a dangerous world, and she's proud of her sister for stepping up and trying to do what she can to make a difference. I think she'll encourage Nyssa to maybe give her more training, or maybe even train her herself. But I think everyone's been very negative about Laurel becoming Black Canary, and I understand why. It's one guy with a gun, and she's in the wrong spot at the wrong time. That's game over.
Mhm.
Characters like, you know, you could say that about anyone since they're all human, but characters like Oliver, they have these ridiculous feats of agility and reflexes, so it's significantly less likely. And Laurel isn't as trained as they are. So I understand their concern over someone they care about not wanting her to go out there and die, but I think Sara will be proud of seeing how much she's changed.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think Sarah is definitely like not a character that holds grudges. I think we've seen that in the past. She's just not that type of character. And I mean, like you said, the two interactions we really need to see is her with Laurel, because like you said, Laurel has changed so much, and you would like to see maybe Sarah train Laurel for a little while. That'd be really cool sister bonding. And that's what the show has been doing since season 2, is like showing that relationship. It is also a show very much about family, so it'd be cool to see that. And seeing her interact with Thea, because yeah, Thea killed her, but also Thea went to Lazarus Pit, so they're the only two that can relate to each other. So there's a lot of things there, and also Quentin. I mean, Quentin's just like he's somewhere else, so you need to bring Sarah back. But at the same time, I think Quentin won't be able to deal with this. Like, stop coming back. I mean, I just grieve you, and then you keep coming back. They can't kill Sarah after this. This is the last time. She has to live forever now, because you can't bring her back twice and then kill her again. That just can't happen.
Yeah, I'm sure Legends of Tomorrow will have at least one death fake out scene where they're like, oh my god, did this person really die? And no, they're okay through, you know, whatever plot device. And hopefully it won't be done with Black Canary, because that'll just leave fans being like, seriously, again?
Oh man, yeah, there better be something like that. That'd be hilarious. So I think we've talked about the characters from Arrow, you know, their incarnations from Arrow. But this is not just a podcast to talk about the Arrow show. We're going to talk, since we are both obviously big comic book fans, we're going to talk about the comic book incarnations, and we're also big TV fans. So we're going to talk about the television/movie incarnations. So first, we're going to talk about Black Canary and other media. So we can't really talk about Sarah because she's an original character, but we can talk about Laurel/Dinah. Technically Dinah, so technically Laurel doesn't really exist either, but Dinah does. And she has been in a couple of TV shows. She hasn't really been in many movies. She's been in Young Justice, Justice League Unlimited, and then also the Green Arrow short, which I don't remember which movie that coincided with. Do you remember, Greg?
Yes, it was Superman and Shazam versus Black Adam.
There you go. That is the Green where your Green Arrow short is. Which one do you want to talk about first?
I think Justice League Unlimited had the biggest
Yes.
Green Arrow/Black Canary story. That's where it really focuses on the slow build of their relationship, but also how awesome of a fighter Black Canary is. I mean, I believe it was at least 2 episodes which revolve around something called, I believe it was like the Meta Brawler Arena or something along those lines, run by a character named Roulette, and it's basically Cage. Sorry, my phone's going off. It's my home phone. I can't silence it. It's basically Cage fighting between metahumans. And Wildcat is someone who has a very close connection to Black Canary because he trained her. And it makes Green Arrow, if I recall correctly, a little jealous because he thinks there's something more going on. But it's more of like a father-daughter dynamic.
Oh, 100%. More than in Arrow, where it's definitely a little bit more love interest there. But you know, Ted is obviously a lot older than her in the cartoon, because they do a lot like the comic book where Ted is a bit older. So it's very much father-daughter relationship in the cartoon.
Yeah. So Wildcat wanting to prove he's still able to fight with the best. He goes back into it, and then Black Canary. I won't spoil it. Obviously, they're good. I believe they're still on Netflix, so you should definitely watch.
I don't know, because I know DC took a lot of their stuff off because of the Marvel thing. But try check it out. Yeah, if it's still there.
Yeah, definitely, and it's just awesome.
It's a good investment.
Yeah, really is. But yeah, it really shows off her skills as a fighter and how much she cares for other people, but also the way they handle the Green Arrow relationship is really, really cute. It's adorable.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's just a great show. If you want the incarnation of the comics really coming to life, it's Just League Unlimited with those two. It's very much they love hate each other in the show, but they obviously love each other. Another great episode, I think it's the Huntress the Huntress Question team up, and also the Black Canary Green Arrow team up was the same episode, and you get to see like Black Canary beat Green Arrow up. I think it was in that episode, and then Black Canary just take charge. So it's very much again the Black Canary we get to see in the comics more than Laurel, which is her learning to fight. Black Canary is obviously already the stronger fighter. In the show. So just a great show. And I would say Black Canary and Green Arrow are my favorite characters in Unlimited. I love them in that show. And there's some great characters in the cartoon, but they're my favorites.
Yeah, no, they're definitely way up there for me because Green Arrow, he's just so lighthearted. There's a lot of great humor with that character, and the way they handled the relationship stuff. Like I said before, I called it cute and adorable, so that just goes to show how much I really enjoyed it. I mean, I'm a 29-year-old guy saying that the relationship stuff was cute and adorable. So say how charming it is and amusing and like I said, cute.
Yeah, go check out that show if you want more information on Dinah herself. But let's move on to I guess the short, and we'll leave Young Justice for last because I feel like she has a little less in that show. But yeah, the Green Arrow animated short. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember it was a very good portrayal. It reminded me a lot of Justice League Unlimited. It was very much in the same vein. So yeah, I enjoyed. That's another one that shows their relationship very well. Greg, do you remember that short a lot?
I remember it fairly well. Black Canary doesn't have a huge role in it, but she's
Mhm.
still there for a fair amount of time. She still has a noteworthy role. It's mostly,
Yes.
it's a very, well, like we said, it's short, but it really celebrates his mythos because we see Merlin, who's truer to his comic book counterpart. There's talks about Vertigo. He appears. Black Canary is in there, and it's just there's a lot of archer action, a lot of trick arrows, and there's even a pretty awesome hand-to-hand fight sequence that takes place on it's in an airport, so it's when you put your luggage on like a conveyor belt and it goes behind the scenes. There's this really extended fight where Oliver struggles with like
I
this.
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like full of action basically the whole time. Just it starts off real quick, throws you into action. There's plenty of banter going on with Ollie as he's trying to protect this kid. And it's really really enjoyable. And I mean everything else on that is good too. I don't remember the I don't remember the Spectre and Jonah Hex shorts all that well, but I do recall enjoying them. And also the Superman and Shazam versus Black Adam's great.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's very short, and it's basically like Shazam 101, teaches you all the basics about the character and tells you what it means to be a hero. It's very inspiring, and it's full of just awesome action. I mean, it's like a superhero brawl. It's for a majority of the time, I believe it was awesome.
Yeah, I remember like in the DC anime movies a bit more back then. Like I still watch obviously every single one of them that comes out, but I remember like really loving the DC anime movies back then. Hopefully we get that as we see more, but it's definitely in a different vein now. And is more in tune for the new 52. And I guess let's talk about Young Justice now because yeah, I totally agree with everything you said with the Green Arrow short. And as you were talking, like, oh yeah, I remember that scene because it's been a long time since I've seen it, but such an enjoyable short, which I definitely will watch again before Legends of Tomorrow and even probably before Arrow airs. And it's a short; it's very short to watch. So go if you have a Green Arrow fill that you need to. A Green Arrow void you need to fill, go ahead and watch it. So the last cartoon I believe is Young Justice that Black Canary was in, and she was really enjoyable. Again, does she have a primary role in the show? Not really, but I would say out of the adults she does. She's like their therapist, which I love. One of my favorite episodes is where Black Canary just is the therapist for the whole episode and trying to dig into Wally and Artemis's and everyone's feelings, and they especially Robin's feelings, saying, "Oh, I don't want to be Batman anymore." It was just her therapy stuff is so great, and then they bring it back again in Invasion. Then you could see some Green Arrow Black Canary interactions throughout the show, but yeah, you the same thing as you saw on Limited. She's a very strong character. You get to see her martial arts here, but there's not any featured episodes with her. She's very much a supporting cast member in Young Justice, which still I think is worth watching if you're a Black Canary fan. What do you
And
think, Greg?
more of her in season 3. Oh.
Oh, you had to bring that up.
Yeah, that and Green Lantern the animated series. It's such a bummer.
Yeah.
Did you watch
Really
the animated series? Not to go off.
Not all of it. I did not watch Green Lantern the anime series. I'm gonna binge all of it because I've heard it's great. But Young Justice, obviously, I'm like a huge hardcore fan for.
The second half of it gets really epic and really emotional. I was impressed. It turned into something like I was casually enjoying to something legitimately great, and it ends on a note that you're like, please make more.
I hope one day that like Green Lantern ends up in Legends of Tomorrow, and we'll just have a Green Lantern podcast to bring up that show, and then I'll have an excuse to binge it all.
But
I remember the CGI was like something I was like, taken aback from, but I heard the story was just so good.
Exactly, it's definitely love or hate. The character designs, but it grows on you even if you dislike it because the story's so good. You kind of just go, whatever, I'm cool with it, I guess. Kind of like Beware the Batman. A lot of people were all, they didn't like that, but I won't get into that.
Another podcast.
Exactly. But I know she also appeared in Batman's Brave and the Bold. I don't remember which episodes, though.
I think it was like the Birds of Prey episode. I think she sang in it, if I remember correctly. I think there was like a singing Birds of Prey episode, and she was in it. And I mean, it makes sense. But I think that was the only episode. I'm not sure because I did not watch all Brave and the Bold, but I've seen, key episodes. And I remember that episode she was in. That was like, I think, her biggest episode.
She,
if I remember correctly.
Yeah, while we're talking about other media, Injustice Gods Among Us, the spin-off comic by the writer Tom Taylor. Year 1 and year 2, she plays a decent role in that, and he just does brilliant work with her interactions with Harley Quinn and Green Arrow.
Oh yes.
Yeah, she's obviously not up there in terms of importance when it comes to like Batman and Superman. I mean, it's obviously about their conflict, but her role in it is just unforgettable. The scenes she has with, like I said, Oliver and Quinn, they're just priceless. Hysterical stuff, but also moving, and it takes a more serious turn. And she has a pretty awesome scene. That's like the 5th time I've used awesome. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what's up.
Hey, it's awesome. I mean, like, yeah, Injustice Gods Among Us is awesome. So we could keep using that word.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great comic. Totally recommend that. And also one that we totally forgot, Smallville. Like, I feel like if you want to mention any DC character that ended up somewhere, it's got to be Smallville. I did not like her Smallville incarnation actually. She was kind of really bland. Honestly, I have not a lot to say about that incarnation. How about you?
Not really. Wasn't her mask like spray paint kind of?
I think it was. And I remember like she was in the Daily Planet once. Maybe I just remember she went into Daily Planet, like used her canary cry on Chloe. That's all I remember about her. And I think she snuck herself into their version of the Justice League somehow. And then they, said, oh, they'll end up together, Oliver and Dinah. And I'm like, thank God they didn't, because they had no chemistry, because she had such a two-dimensional character in that show. He was much better with Chloe.
I do remember Oliver firing like 3 arrows at her, and then she does the canary cry, and it took the perspective of right behind the arrows. They're like slowly destroyed. So that's, I mean, obviously the special effects don't hold up all that well, but it's kind of cool.
It was there.
Yeah.
But you have to mention it because it was like, I guess it's the stepping stones. I mean, Smallville's definitely the stepping stones of Arrow. So you have to talk about it. And I love Smallville, but Canary or, Black Canary there, she wasn't great.
Most memorable character around. But yeah, I guess should we go into a little bit of just her comics as well?
Yeah, let's do it. We did start with the Injustice Gods Among Us. Definitely, we both recommend that. Tom Taylor's writing in general is just awesome, but his Injustice run is just brilliant. So check that out. But where do you want to start with the comic books with Black Canary? I feel like I guess Birds of Prey, because like that's her big thing.
Yeah, Gail Simone's Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
Her with, Oracle, Huntress. When I think of Birds of Prey, I haven't read all of it, not even close to all of it. There's still so many comics on my must-read list, and I only have so much money at my disposal. Oh, you have to like...
It's so much time, too. It takes a while to read some trades.
Yeah, so it takes a while to really get around to what you want to read. Like your shirt, Invincible. I would love to get current with Invincible, but nowhere in my budget is there room to catch up. I'm just so far behind.
Read with issue like 101 or issue 100, and it's easy to catch up from there. I mean, I've read all of Invincible, but yeah, it's kind of hard to catch up with all of it.
So yeah, Gail Simone, obviously, her Birds of Prey run has received a lot of praise, and for me, when I think about it, I really like Bane, and there's an issue where Bane like gets a crush on her. They bump into each other when Bane wants to go destroy one of Al Ghul's Lazarus pits, and Canary is there to destroy a thing of weaponry, and he's just like blown away by her. He's like, "You're beautiful, an amazing fighter, and intelligent. We have to be together." I'm not.
I can see that.
Yeah, and she rejects him in a not so kind way. She goes for a sensitive part of him, and yeah, it causes him to fall over and hold himself in pain. It's not the most flattering rejection for Bane, but yeah. So that was a cool scene, just seeing Black Canary briefly encounter one of Batman's best villains, and Bane is just totally head over heels for her, and she just wants nothing to do with him at all.
Yeah, Gail Simone has a lot of like fun issues like that. Also, I mean, a big issue that you have with Birds of Prey, which is totally referenced in Arrow, is that she has a daughter, Sin, and then Sin ends. Oh, well, I guess we could spoil it. I mean, it's how many years has this been out? So Sin ends up dying, and that's like a big arc for her, is like she couldn't save her daughter. So, and it's her adopted daughter. But yeah, that's a huge arc for Black Canary and Gail Simone's run. It runs throughout Birds of Prey. So check that out. And it's very connected to Arrow. And also something that's really fun about Birds of Prey, I think, is the relationship between Oracle, Huntress, and obviously Black Canary. But I think that's why I was so disappointed with that Birds of Prey episode in Arrow, because like they used the name and it's like, but this is nothing that I wanted. Like I wanted to see the friendship. You should have saved this name for me like season 5 or something. So yeah, I was a little disappointed with that. Well, what did you think about that episode, Greg? And like I guess their friendship in general in the comics?
The friendship in the comics is cool because at the time, unfortunately, Batgirl is Oracle. She can't go out there and do all the crime fighting by her side, which was rectified in the New 52. They could fight side by side. Actually, I'm not sure if that was... Was there a point in the comics where eventually in that run, Oracle... I think it was the New 52 which restored her legs, right?
Black Canary or
Barbara.
Yeah, we got to see... Oh, Barbara is still Batgirl, so she's never gotten to the wheelchair again. And then we don't really get to see them interact that much, but I remember the last September event, they did have a big issue. I think it was 5 years in the future issue. We could see Black Canary and Barbara interact, and then in the Birds of Prey series, which got canceled because we could talk about the New 52 one also, but it wasn't exactly the pre-New 52. Let's just say that. It's very different. Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, they interact a little bit, but they haven't interacted in a while. Oh yeah, they did. They interacted in the newest Batgirl series, and she got a spin-off with her Black Canary series now. So I totally forgot about that. But it's definitely different incarnations. Black Canary is now a rock singer. So if you want to, again, very different incarnations, but give it a try. See if you like it.
Yeah, very different. She's going on a rock tour, and basically she's poor until she completes the rock tour, and that's when the studio or record label will give her the money, and that's when she can go back to her crime fighting ways. But while in touring the country and going in various concerts, the band, which I believe are just called the Black Canaries, they become popular because they always get into brawls, or at least Dina always gets in Dina always gets into brawls because she'll see something, a guy being sketchy or something, harassing someone, and she'll stand up and do something about it, and that causes fights. And there's something else. There's a bigger plot going on, which I won't spoil, but it's definitely a very different direction for the character.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like after I read it, like I was like, oh, it's an interesting way, but you have to really like take yourself away from what happened in the pre-New 52, and obviously just know this is a new direction, which a lot of now DC comics you have to do that with, and Batgirl's the same. But they're still fun reads, and again, it's very different from what you're seeing with Laurel and Arrow, and what the character has been, but try it out.
Yeah, it's more kind of like what they did with a few other titles. They're going for kind of like a trendier, hipper kind of book, I guess you could say. I sound like an old man using those terms. It's a trend hippie book, trendy book. Yeah, it's going for, obviously, it's similar to the style Batgirl's book took, where
Very
it's
similar.
a big change. It's even the art style is drastically different. It's more energetic, and like the characters aren't as, I don't want to say detailed, but there's
It's very punky, honestly. After reading the the Batgirl one is very like cartoony-ish, I would say, like you were saying, which is cool. I really like Babstar's art. I think it's cool. But then of course there's this thing. It's like, oh well, it's so different from Gail Simone's run. I still want the explanation of like why she's that different, but you kind of have to look over it. And same thing goes for Black Canary. But I think it's a bit easier for Black Canary because like her transition wasn't as like, I guess, big. It wasn't a big leap as Barber, but yeah, it's different, and it's cool. It's cool to see that and pick it up. I mean, the New 52 in general is just very different, and also with the New 52 with Dinah, you get to see that she like had a dojo. It's very, I mean, it's like still in the vein of the character, but it's not the pre New 52.
yeah. Her new origin story is very different. She has history.
Yeah.
7. She married someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, and then she went on to the new Birds of Prey title. But yeah, it's very different. Pre-Crisis, it's very complicated. She has a very complicated origin story.
I mean, her mother was Black Canary. Like, I don't know if that's even still intact at this point, but
yeah, I'm not like an expert on the New 52. I'm very selective with my titles now, I guess. Limited budget, so I'm not reading everything possible. But yeah, post-Crisis, it was simplified where, her mom was the Black Canary, and then that inspired her. She learned how to fight. She trained. She had the gene in her that she could do the canary cry. It was more, it was easy to digest origin story, and eventually, she trained with Wildcat, yada yada yada, meets Oliver. So there's a lot of material there.
Yeah, there is. And
Yeah.
I think in Arrow, they're trying a little bit more to keep, obviously, with the pre-New 52 origins, because there's just more to dig into. Like, you have the reference of the mother at least being there. Obviously, she wasn't Black Canary. And also, like, it runs in the family type thing. So they did that. And New 52 just doesn't have that. They do have the metagene, though, which Arrow doesn't have at this point. I'm hoping, like, somehow her contraption ends up becoming a metagene. Like, it needs to happen. I want her to have the real canary cry, but we're getting steps there. We're close.
Yeah, it would be tough to explain that because right now powers are very limited in the CW verse. In the Flash, it's just because of the particle accelerator, and then in Arrow, it was due to the serum. But I wasn't Deathbolt. I thought he was just a metahuman. Like,
I think he was, but like they did nothing with it, so it's like it was really hard to even notice.
or did they
tried
by saying like he was in Central City at the time, and then
I think so, yeah.
Okay, I was I live in an apartment complex, so you could hear people in the hallway. But yeah, I was misremembering that. So yeah, it's very limited in terms of powers. Like, it would be tough to, even though we have the Lazarus Pit, it would be tough to justify her just like randomly having this gene where it's like, I'm special and I can make this awesome scream. It would be so cool, but it's tough to really justify. But at the same rate, we now have time travel, and we have Hawkgirl, and she has, reincarnation. So that's something that's not really explained in Arrow or The Flash. So it seems like they're slowly taking steps to expand just how people have these different abilities and all that this universe has to offer. I mean, they even gave a not so subtle nod to Green Lantern. So,
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't rule out her one day having the canary cry. Maybe.
I wouldn't either. I really wouldn't. I think it's going to happen. I don't know if it'll happen this season. I don't know how it's going to happen. I can't even start, but I feel like they've been getting closer to that. And they know that people want it, And I think at this point, I heard one of my friends said this. He said, I feel like Laurel has to deserve it. And I kind of agree with that. Like, I want her to become more of a powerful superhero and then get the canary cry. That way it's not a clutch. Or a crutch. So I hope once she gets stronger in season 4, she won't use it as a crutch and she'll have it as an ability. That'd be really cool to see.
I feel like Sara also kind of needs it. Like, she's easily the most gifted fighter on the team. In the Legends of Tomorrow, she's probably the most tactical one as well. If anyone dares to walk up next to her, she's probably going to totally wipe the floor with them. But I mean, we have, guys with heat guns, with freeze guns. We have a guy who flies around blasting lasers. We have a reincarnated person who can fly. We have Firestorm. There's all these crazy abilities, and she is a really good fighter. But like in the Legends of Tomorrow promo, you see like this giant robotic foot or robotic hand, and I'm kind of like, is she just gonna run up and like keep hitting it with her melee weapon, or she can climb up it, do some damage? But you feel like she may need that extra ability at some point if their threats keep escalating. She's probably the most dangerous person on the team.
And she's died so many times already, so she's already in danger. But also, you never know. Let's think about this as let's pretend we're not comic book readers. How about if they change the origin story of the Lazarus Pit, and once you go into Lazarus Pit, you could get like some sort of abilities? You never know. And maybe that's why Thea hasn't shown any things. Maybe she'll get abilities. Who knows? Maybe Sara and Thea will get abilities. Again, very far-fetched theory, but who knows? Who knows with Arrow?
They could even say, she had this like super rare gene in her, and the Lazarus Pit brought that out. It made it more prominent. But purely speculation.
Here's the weird speculations we're having, but who knows? Who knows in the future?
Exactly. Should we get into White Canary or?
Yeah, let's do White Canary. I think we've talked about a lot. Again, Black Canary, just read Birds of Prey. That's going to be the big thing. She has, of course, the new series, and she has maybe 1 or 2 miniseries in between, but really the Birds of Prey series is what you should definitely read. So let's go into White Canary, which is also the Birds of Prey series, which is the 2nd volume of Gail Simone's Birds of Prey. And it's like 1 arc, I believe. It's really not that long. So, but a lot of people were guessing that, Sara would become the White Canary, and everyone was right in that situation. Now, it's been a while since I've actually read the White Canary story. It's actually been since it was released. That was the last time I read it, because I was picking up Birds of Prey at the time. I love Gail Simone's writing, and that's the last time I read it. But I remember when it was released, obviously her identity was a mystery. So a lot of people thought she was Cassandra Cain. So I think that's really interesting. That's something I remember was in the rumor mill at the time.
Yeah, I haven't read it in a little while. I reread it several months ago, I believe it was. But
better than me, like, again, when it was released.
But yeah, the basic premise is she was spared in this family. I don't recall where the region was. It may have been China. I don't remember the specific country. But a father found out that he was having a daughter, and he wanted an assistant. I guess I'll just call her an assistant. I don't know what the technical title is. He was very not so kind to her, though. And he ordered her to, I believe, put the baby into a river to basically get rid of it and kill it. And she initially offered to take the baby and raise it herself. He said, follow my order or else I'll find someone else to. And when this individual was walking then to get the baby, lightning struck and killed her. So not a great day for her. Very mean boss, and then murdered by lightning. Not the best day around. So then the father says, there are greater forces here that want her to live. So I'm going to raise her as if, she was, I don't know, as if she was actually my child, which she is. I don't know.
Don't know his mind frame, but.
Yeah, exactly. It's tough to really understand that mentality, but I'm not going to say to each their own because I'm not going to justify anything like that. So she trains with, I believe she had 12 brothers. I think they were called the Silk Brothers. They're all these incredible fighters. And I believe the story goes Black Canary was able to defeat them. She thwarted them or something. And she was then ashamed of them. So she went out to murder each of them. And this brings her into Black Canary's path. They have this crazy fight. And the neat thing is Black Canary is such a good fighter. She's way up there. I mean, I think that's something some people may not know. She's a ridiculously gifted hand-to-hand combatant.
Oh, best! I would honestly go to best hand-to-hand combat person in DC. I mean, obviously there's, you got Deathstroke and other characters, but she's up there. She's definitely could hold her own. In my opinion, I think she's the best.
Yeah, she's definitely up there. I mean, someone like even Batman, he's gonna have one hell of a challenge on his hands if they get into a melee fight. Which, by the way, I'm not sure if that ever happened. I know they bumped into one another in Shadows of the Bat, I believe it was. Not sure if they ever actually had a skirmish. That
I
would
don't
be,
think they ever have. I mean, obviously they've teamed up with each other, but they've never actually fought each other, which would be a really interesting battle, I feel. And I feel like because also Batman relies a lot on his gadgets and his smarts, and Black Canary does not rely even on her scream half the time. So it'd be a very interesting fight.
yeah, she has one very reliable gadget, the Canary Cry.
Exactly, herself.
Yeah. So, right. So it's impressive because Black Canary was having trouble with her in hand-to-hand
Mhm.
combat. I remember her thinking like, "Did I only land this hit because she wanted me to? Is she tricking me, trying to give me confidence, or is that setting me up for something else?" That's how good of a fighter White Canary was. And she was eventually defeated just because Canary was able to eventually use the Canary Cry, and she just kind of gave in to like just blunt nature. And I remember her tackling her out of a window onto a car, and she was able to handcuff her and everything. But yeah, obviously not the same character we're going to see in Arrow.
Yeah, they're just really using the name. Because again, she had a very short arc in, and because I remember this series was right before the New 52 and it got canceled. It was during Brightest Day the series came out. I remember issue 1 was Brightest Day tie-in. So it was really, literally right after the New 52, and then obviously the White Canary was not in the New 52, and they never really continued the character. So now finally we're seeing her in just a totally different version, which I think is interesting. I think it's cool that they're utilizing the name, but obviously not the character.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah, I think the name is there to represent like her rebirth.
Yeah. And they're like, oh yeah, we had a combo character called that. Cool.
And I'm wondering if I know Caity Lotz in an interview, she said being resurrected by the Lazarus Pit will have a big impact on her mentality. And considering how we saw Thea react, and she was
Yeah.
only, you know, critically injured or dead for a very short amount of time, whereas Sarah's been dead since the very beginning of season 3. It seems like it's going to have a stronger side effect on her. So I'm wondering how that's going to happen as she interacts with others. Maybe she'll be less inclined to deal with Captain Cold's nonsense. Maybe,
Why
yeah.
she should be leader of this team.
Yeah, that's another thing. I do think she has the potential to become the leader. I think they're going to gravitate towards making Adam, kind of moving him into the leadership role,
Yeah.
the Iron Man of the team, even though Iron Man isn't the leader. But anyway, going off on a
He's
tangent.
pretending to be leader, you know. I think that's to be the same thing. Adam will pretend to be leader.
Exactly. I don't think it will be very easy to lead this team. I mean, you have Captain Cold and Heatwave. I imagine they're not going to follow orders.
Very weird group of people. So yeah, it'd be pretty hard to, bring in a meeting together. Even just like join and have a meeting together, I think would be hard. I don't think you could deal with that, compared to even just being in a fight and like being a team. I don't know. It'll be hard.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see eventually how much of a role teamwork will play in their action scenes. I have a feeling at first they may be a little scattered doing their own thing, but it'll be really satisfying if we one day see build up to something that's kind of like almost a nod to the way Joss Whedon handled the big scene at the end of the Avengers, how it's, they don't necessarily need to do one extended shot where it goes from character to character, but to see characters playing off of each other's strengths and working together.
Or we could have a circle shot like Avengers and just like have them all do that.
Yeah, they definitely need, the one like jaw-dropping shot where you see the team strike a pose. And hopefully it's not when they do that. Hopefully it's cool.
Hopefully it's not like totally copying Avengers, but we'll see. I guess that kind of concludes the comic book talk, and we're going into like what we're gonna probably see from White Canary and Legends of Tomorrow. And we could talk a bit. Is there anything else you want to say about Sara in Legends of Tomorrow? I feel like we definitely touched upon that last week, and I feel like we touched upon that this week also for this episode. Do you have anything else you want to add to that?
No, not really. I'm just very curious to see where the character is going to go next. I'm really wondering how much the Lazarus Pit is going to affect her mind, and I'm wondering how her dynamic is going to be with each of these characters. And hopefully Arrow Season 4 will give us the interactions that this character needs, not just have her just bump into Laurel and have one scene where they have a heart-to-heart, but really, get into how powerful these interactions should be. She should have a really good conversation with Thea. She should have a conversation with Laurel. She should have a really, really good conversation with her father.
She needs that. Her father needs that more, but
And now with a lighter Oliver, hopefully they'll have a good conversation.
A nice one.
Nyssa as well.
Did they ever break up? That'd be like the first conversation. Like, did we ever really break up? Well, you died. Okay. Now I'm with Felicity. I think Sara would be happy with that anyways. Because I think Sara was always kind of like Dig, always a Felicity fan in her heart. She, even though she was dating Oliver for a while, I'm sure she'd be okay with it. Because she has Nyssa. But yeah, let's go. I guess Laurel, since this is also kind of a Laurel kind of thing also, show. So yeah, I think we kind of discussed where we want Laurel to go, just like stronger fighter, interact with Sara, maybe getting the Canary cry along the way, and then her just being like part of this team and really meshing as the team, because they started doing that in season 3, and hopefully we'll see that more in season 4. Any other thoughts on Laurel in the next season?
No, just keep it positive. I mean, obviously you can have drama in there, but seeing her happy and motivated and inspired, it's nice to have that on Arrow. I understand they're going for a different tone with the show, but you can't keep beating characters down all the time, and it just gets to be a little too much, a little overly dramatic. And it's nice to see these characters thrive and see them win.
And I think they've learned their lessons from season 3, that they need, some actually fun team interactions. Like, I want to see them work as a team.
Sure.
We haven't seen that really. So let's see that happening in season 4 in this lighter tone. So that is, I think, all we wanted to talk about with Black Canary and White Canary. Anything else, Greg, you wanted to bring up in any mediums or anything?
I would love to see Black Canary in, if it happens, Injustice Gods Among Us too, as a playable character.
That'd be great.
Yeah, she has the potential for like amazing special attacks in close range and combos. I mean, it's a fighting game, and she is one of DC's best fighters. It just makes sense,
I'm surprised she wasn't in it already, honestly, because I haven't played Injustice in a very long time. I didn't get any of the DLC, but I'm surprised that she wasn't in it.
Yeah, I was as well. I was really hoping she would be part of the I almost called it the combat pack. I played a little bit of Mortal Kombat X. But yeah, the first DLC pack that they had. I was surprised she wasn't a part of that. But she has so much potential as an awesome character in the game. Again, with the word awesome. And especially, throwing the Canary cry for a few good special moves, like attacking upwards or forward.
Yeah.
And, yeah, her not X-ray attack again, Mortal Kombat X, but her, like, power-up move, the big special move, that does a lot of damage. They could have a lot of fun with that, since, once again, really, really good fighter. So, a lot of potential there.
Yeah, I hope so too. I'm not a huge gamer, but I will definitely hope, if she's in Injustice Gods Among Us too, I'll definitely get it. So yeah, I agree. I think her moves would be really cool for that game. I don't even think she's ever been in a video game. I don't think, right?
I think she was in a game, but I didn't play it, so that doesn't really help.
Well, then it doesn't exist. If you've never played it, that means like you've never seen it. You don't know if it exists.
Yeah, but there's a fair amount of DC games. I just haven't played all of them. Like, there was the online game. I'm not sure if she has a cameo in there.
Might have been in there, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I played that either. I remember I tried like putting on my PC and it like never worked, so I was like, I gave up on that. But yeah, so we've talked video games, TV, comics, and we really talked about all the incarnations for Black Canary, and we will be doing this for every character that's on the show. We don't know if we're going to combine some, or we're still discussing that. Greg, do you know which one's next? I don't know if we discussed that yet. Do you know which character we're doing next?
Not off the top of my head, but I can check the Google document we have. It may be Atom.
All right. I've actually not read too much Atom comics, so that's going to be a fun one. That's a lot to say.
Yeah, I'm double checking right now. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It'll be... Oh, well, the next one is technically, we may do the
oh, yeah, we're going to do the special, we might be doing a special San Diego Comic-Con edition of this, but so stay tuned to that. That might be a video version. But the next episode,
I think it's Ray Palmer and then Captain Cold and Heatwave.
Cool. So, for now, we're going to stick with Adam. I think that's a good next person because I think he's had the most screen time on the TV shows. So we'll be doing that, and hopefully Tony will be here for our next show, which he should be. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Remember to download all our episodes, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to watch the live shows. We'll let you know and promote that a bit more as we get used to our schedule, like when we're actually recording. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like the Facebook page, which is just search in Legends of Tomorrow podcast. You should find it. But all the links are going to be in the description anyways. And also on the page with the podcast, you'll see it. Also, our Twitter handle at Legends Podcast, there's an underscore. So I don't know if you heard the pool, but there is an underscore Legends underscore podcast. So check that out. And that's all our social media. Also for me, you go check out my YouTube channel, Comic Uno, my other YouTube channel, Comic Frontline, and everything in between at Comic Uno. On my Twitter, you can find out everything I'm doing. Gregg, is there any links that you want to plug?
Just my Twitter handle. It's my name, Gregg Katzman, GreggKatzman. So just at Gregg Katzman. And if you do take the time to listen, we definitely really appreciate your feedback as well. Because it's a young podcast. We're definitely interested in hearing the kind of feedback you guys want to give. And if you do listen, please also remember to review it on iTunes.
Yeah, so review, so give us a nice star rating, and again, comment. We really appreciate that to hear your thoughts, and, share the podcast too if you enjoy it. So thank you guys again. We'll be back. Our schedule's again a little mixed up, so for our next episode for the special San Diego, hopefully video, and then we'll have the next episode, which will be Adam in a few weeks. But we are a bi-monthly podcast, and we'll be back on track after San Diego with that bi-monthly schedule. So thank you guys again, and this was the Legends of Tomorrow podcast. Bye.